Resident Evil Zero and Code Veronica are the next remakes for the franchise, report. Capcom reportedly continues to work on Resident Evil 9 as well, though it's not been officially announced. The remake train will continue for Resident Evil, with Resident Evil Zero reportedly being one of two remakes in development at Capcom. Alongside the prequel, a reimagining of Resident Evil Code Veronica is supposedly in the works too. According to well-known leaker Dusk Golem and corroborated by IGN, Resident Evil Zero and Code Veronica are the next remake entries for the franchise, though no order was given to their release. Resident Evil Zero originally came out on Nintendo GameCube in 2002 and then received an HD remaster in 2016. Meanwhile, Resident Evil Code Veronica released on Sega Dreamcast in 2000 before getting an HD remaster in 2011. Last year, Capcom confirmed it was remaking more Resident Evil games. So far, the studio has reimagined Resident Evil 2, 3, and 4, with the last one coming out a little over a year ago. GameSpot's Resident Evil 4 remake review even awarded the game a perfect 10 rating. One of these remakes could come out before the still unannounced Resident Evil 9. That's because Dusk Golem says internally the game has been delayed to late 2025 at the earliest, with the 2026 launch possibility as well. Dusk Golem previously reported that Resident Evil 9 could be an open world game. So let's look at the comments, and then I'll get Dr. Games 101's thoughts. Lake0121 goes, good choices. Niels Doan goes, wish it was 5. Wednesday Adams says in response to it, I think we'll get 5 after the new audience is introduced to Wesker and Chris beef with each other. We need Veronica and 1 for that to happen. A lot of newer fans aren't playing the older titles. They're staying with the remakes and 7. So, did you ever play Resident Evil Zero?
I have a copy for how many months, and I never get to play it yet on the Xbox One, though. So I heard good things about the game. I watched gameplay of it online, and heard that Wesker and William Birkin are part of the storyline in Resident Evil Zero. So get to understand more about their caricature as what their purpose is with Umbrella and the T virus and other projects they were doing with the owner of Umbrella and all. So it's pretty interesting, I have to say. But unfortunately, I never got to put my time and day into playing Resident Evil Zero. I did play Code Veronica and Code Veronica X. I did a recording of Code Veronica X for as publicly on my main channel. But I'll continue doing more of gameplay of it on my gaming channel. So it's a good experience. I never really played Code Veronica X fully through for the first time. I was tired to yet, so it's more to the story as I keep playing X. I got the original for the Dreamcast for about $35, maybe $25 at my local gaming store here in my neighborhood, but it got shut down for how many decades so far. It was one of the best places to find good games of its time in my neighborhood and all.
Didn't you get the Code Veronica that was released with Games with Gold?
I'm not sure it was Games with Gold per se. I got it for about $3, $4. Oh, I first got it from you, the PS2 version of Code Veronica X. And I also bought the Xbox One version, which is the 360 version on the store for about several bucks.
Okay, I didn't have to buy it because I got it from Games with Gold. So back when Games with Gold gave you good games.
Yeah, I can't remember if I got Games with Gold or I actually paid like cheap, like $5-10 for it. So
I think you got it through Games with Gold because that's how I got it.
Okay.
But yeah, so I mean, Resident Evil Zero, I never had the chance to play, except maybe what I experienced in the Umbrella Chronicles, which wasn't much, because I know that had Zero in it, or levels from Zero in the beginning of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So that Code Veronica, a great game. Never beat it, unfortunately. And then, but I'll still fire that up on my Xbox One and play that again.
Oh yeah.
So Code Veronica's great. I wonder if they're gonna remake Resident Evil 1 Because if they're gonna go back to like Code Veronica and talk about Chris and Wesker's beef, you got to include one in there somehow.
Yeah. And with and Cole Veronica remake, how they gonna do that with Alexia Ashford with her naked, obviously with the nudity involved with the matter? That's gonna be like, it's today's standard. It's gonna be like, be like, oh, it's sexist, it's racist, it's whatever that they can think of. So, that type of shit. So,
Well, hopefully people are getting sick and tired of that shit, so Capcom won't listen to them. Hopefully.
yeah, well, it was good artwork they did back then of Cole Veronica and all with Wesker and Alexia Ashford, and also with the regular Ashford guy. What's his name? His first name again?
I think
Um,
Andrew.
I forgot his name though. He's an Ashford. He's the head of the Ashford family.
Yeah, he's the
Um,
one who shoots at Claire when Claire first runs into him.
yeah, and also he's a cross-dressing freak, like Claire would say.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck? And when first time I saw that, what the hell I'm looking at? I was like 12, not 13 years old, so see that for the first time. I'm like, I don't remember seeing a man dressed up as a woman before,
Okay,
So it's
you must have made it further than I did.
yeah. Claire, when the island's going self-destruct, whatever, had to get those three emblems, the start up the airplane and all. Steve was just so happy to handle the controls and all, and then all of a sudden, after you fight the boss on the plane, in the back of the plane and all, you see Ashford turn himself on. He was like, "Oh, you cannot escape now!" And I'm like, "Damn!" And then Claire said, "Fucking Ashford, cross-dressing freak."
Okay. So yeah, that like I said, that I've never experienced. Um, but like I said, I'd also play Resident Evil Code Veronica again almost any time. Um,
Yeah, it's on both Cole Veronica and Cole Veronica X scene. So
okay. Well, like I said, I just got the Xbox 360 version, so
yeah, that's
um,
the Cole Veronica X most likely.
anything after the Dreamcast was X. I think the PS2 version was X. So I think anything after the PS2 version, like 360 version, was also X.
Right.
Yeah. So um, as remakes for these games, that sounds great. Um, what do you think about Resident Evil 9? I know we talked about it before, possibly being an open world Resident Evil.
I will have to say this though: if they're gonna do an open world of Resident Evil 9, at least include all the previous first 3 or 4 Resident Evil characters and end the shit out of it as soon as possible after that. Like this is ridiculous. It's been going for 30 years, 35 years almost, and it's like I don't mind the continuous story of like what happens with Ethan and all at one point, but now it's like you gotta bring it home. You gotta like finale it. You gotta sum it up. Because obviously that's all you can only do so much with Resident Evil now, in my opinion. And Resident Evil has moments of its good creative story. Some of it was shitty back in the 2000 version. It was called Resident Evil Survivor. That was a little bit weird of its own self having that
Yeah,
as,
that was
as
awful.
a yeah. I mean, the story was all right if you want to consider it to be a story, but okay, then it also breeze right there, no problem. But then after 2000, what fucking Resident Evil 6 and all, I was like, okay, that should be the end of it all. Because like you brought in Jake, the son of Wesker. Chris and Leon meet for the first time ever. Ada Wong goes after Chris, or vice versa in that story. That was the first time ever that happening. So that could have been like an ending right there, Resident Evil 6. It's ended it right there. But
Yeah.
it
Well,
is whatever.
um, honestly, I think you're a little hypocritical in this. Because I mean,
Really?
yes, because we talked about Call of Duty Black Ops 6. You could really say the same thing about Call of Duty. How long has that been around? I mean, isn't it time to up Call of Duty and Resident? If you're saying let's wrap up Resident Evil,
Well, Call of Duty been on for 20 years. Resident Evil been on for almost 30.
well, still, I mean, like Black Ops 6, it's like you're gonna want to have war soon to cover. I mean,
They also have World War III very soon, right?
well, maybe, yeah.
Then they
Thanks.
Call of Duty Black Ops, and Infinity or some shit like that.
All I gotta say is those idiots who voted Biden. How many of you have remorse now? Um,
Yeah.
but I mean, yeah, like I said, I wouldn't end the series. I like where they were going. You can make the remakes for the games. Definitely don't bring back, but I would have to disagree with you. If you're gonna make Resident Evil 9, don't bring back guys like Chris and Wesker and Ada and Jill and Claire. Although I would like to see them. Keep them in the like previous generation of Resident Evil.
Oh,
Make
Wesker's already dead. Just original 5.
Okay, yeah. So but like I'm saying, like 7 and 8, continue the story of Ethan, and Mia. Resident Evil 9. I don't know if it's gonna be Ethan's daughter that grew up because she was DLC in 8. Um,
And
so
if I recall correctly, Ethan's daughter. I hope I'm not spoiling this game in Resident Evil 8 and all, but it's gruesome. It's the merchant of Resident Evil 8 and all. He told Ethan, check your orb, or that special thing he's holding in his hand. It was his daughter the whole
yeah.
time. It was fucked up, So it's kind of like, how you gonna bring that to fruition, Resident Evil 9, and of that arc properly.
But also Ethan died in Resident Evil 8. Well, I shouldn't spoil the story. But spoilers, he dies at the end of Resident Evil 8. Um,
Oh, that sucks.
and Chris was there. What happens is Chris comes burst into Ethan's house and shoots Mia, and
Right?
Ethan's like,
That's
"What
what
the
I
hell are you
seen.
doing?" When he gets to Chris, and Chris goes, "That wasn't." And he's like, "How could you shoot Mia?" And Chris goes, "I would have never shot Mia. That wasn't her. That was Lady Dimitrescu masquerading as Mia. I didn't."
What?
He's like, "I didn't know she could masquerade as a dead body, though." So basically, the real Mia was kidnapped, and Chris burst in to because Lady Dimitrescu or someone from from village was trying to get to Ethan's daughter. Um,
Oh,
so like I thought Chris was a villain. Don't get me wrong, but like I saw the whole playthrough from a YouTuber named Sky T, SKYYTEA. She's also on Twitch. She did like the whole Resident Evil 8 game. She did the DLC, and you see Chris was actually still a good guy at the end. So, but the thing
that's
is,
good.
like me, Ethan's body, like he's trying to get back to the plane with Chris, with the real me, and the real me is already on the plane. Ethan's carrying his baby, his daughter, who's still alive, um, and but like Ethan's body started turning into like fungus and like freezing off. So like he hands
Uh,
his baby off to Chris and tells him get her on the plane. Um,
ooh, wow.
yeah, and Ethan dies, and then there's a DLC that takes place like 15, 16 years in the future, um, where Ethan's daughter is now 16, and she can possibly get rid of her powers, and she does get a chance to meet her father, who she never had the chance to meet, um, other than when she was a newborn. So I'm kind of wondering if Resident Evil 9 is gonna continue like with Mia in some point or Ethan's daughter, but they have kind of already done Ethan's daughter, so it's kind of like so maybe it's going to be a new character, but I'm kind of happy that they've they didn't follow the same old status quo. You know, the Resident Evil needed to change after 6 or even after 5. Um, and I really like what they did with 7, 8, and I would love to see what they do with an open world in 9 if it is an open world game.
Hmm. Wow, I didn't
Anything?
realize that.
Yeah. Anything else to add, or ready to move on?
I got definitely gotta play Resident Evil 8 before I play Resident Evil 9
Well,
and
you could.
Resident Evil 7.
Well, if you want, Sky T, the one that I watch, she did Resident Evil 7 and 8 and DLC. So, like, if you don't, if you just want to watch it on YouTube, uh, you can watch her on YouTube. She has like whole
Right.
videos, like in a video series. She has like every game she played on YouTube, she has like in a video playlist, its own specific playlist.
Mm-hmm.